Hello, my name is and today I'll be demonstrating how to make a transition in Adobe After Effects. I've been editing on After Effects for 5 years now, and I'll be using my knowledge to guide the class today in making our first transition together. And before we officially start, there are 3 main transitions when it comes to editing on After Effects. There's a rotation transition, a position transition, and finally the scale transition, which we will be learning today. Now, let us get on with the demonstration. Once the program boots up, you want to create a composition. So, you want to hit the box that's on the left. After you click that, another box should pop up. If the height and width is okay for you, you can click OK at the bottom. For example, my composition will be a square or a 1-to-1 ratio, but you can change your composition to whatever size you want it to be, and then just click OK. Next, you're going to hit Ctrl-I on your keyboard to bring up your files. Double click it so the image that you want will pop up in the project window on the left-hand side. A slight tip is to just name your files so it's easier to find it here. From your project window, you're going to drag your file down to your timeline. Once the file is in your timeline, move the cursor to about 2 seconds. The seconds are the ticks that are at the top of the timeline. And if it's hard to see where the 2 seconds is on the timeline, drag this little cursor at the bottom to kind of quote-unquote zoom in into the seconds at the bottom. This way you get more into the frames and stuff like that. Once you get to the desired length, make sure you have the clip highlighted before you click Ctrl-Shift-D on your keyboard. This basically cuts the clip. This way it disappears after some time once we click play. Next, delete the longer section of the clip by clicking backspace, because it's no longer needed. Now bring your time marker to the middle of the clip. Then you're going to click S on your keyboard. This will bring up the scale option for the clip. Scale basically allows us to make our image bigger and smaller. In this case, we're going to need to make our image bigger, so it covers up the screen. Once that's done, you're going to right click the clip in your timeline and click pre-comp. Click this circle at the bottom as well, and basically pre-comping the image crops it for us. Cropping the image allows the transition to be smoother in the finished product. Now that our image is cropped, you're going to go to Effects and Presets, click it, and type in Motion Tile. Motion Tile basically gives the illusion that the image lasts forever when it gets zoomed out. Drag Motion Tile to the clip in your timeline. On the left side, the settings of Motion Tile should show. Make the output height and width 500. Also, make sure to click Mirror Edges as well. Highlight your clip once again and click S to bring up scale once more. On the left hand side of scale, a stopwatch should appear. Click that to create a keyframe. Keyframes basically start and a transition, kind of like recording an action at both of those points. Move your time marker to the end of the clip, going a frame before the clip actually ends. Click the small diamond that's near the stopwatch. At this final keyframe, scale the image back until you see black borders. Make sure your time marker is fully over the last keyframe by checking the diamond near the left. It will be a solid color instead of hollowed out. After this, you're going to make sure you enable motion blur. It looks like the image with 3 circles on the bottom, just make sure that's clicked as well. This gives the clip an extra illusion of smoothness. Once that's done, we're going to move the final keyframe back to the edge of the clip. Doing this assures that the transition will come out as smooth as possible. Now we're going to highlight both keyframes and click F9 on our keyboard. This easy eases the keyframes, which will make more sense as we continue. Then you're going to click this icon, which is going to bring up the graph editor. Graphs basically control the speed of the transition between the 2 keyframes. Click this icon below and make sure that it's on value graph instead of speed graph. Since this is the start of a transition, we're going to move our graph towards the right. A little tip for everyone to know is that every start transition will always have the graph moving in this direction. Once that is complete, the beginning of the transition is done. Finishing the transition is basically everything that we did so far. Clicking Ctrl-I, double clicking the image so it appears in their project file, dragging it down to our timeline, making sure that the clip aligns with the edge of the starting image. Then we're going to move our time marker about 2 seconds down our clip. Ctrl-Shift-D, delete this. clicking S on our keyboard to scale the clip, right-clicking it, clicking Pre-Compose and clicking OK, going to Effects/Presets, dragging Motion Tile here, making the output width and height 500, while also making sure to click Mirror Edges, making sure our motion blur is also on. And now here's where things start to get different. We're going to drag our time marker to the beginning of the clip instead. Then we're going to click S on our keyboard and click the stopwatch to make a keyframe there. Then we're going to drag our time marker to the middle of the clip, and then we're going to click the diamond that's near the stopwatch so we create another keyframe. After that, we're going to click the left arrow that's right next to the diamond over here to go back to our first keyframe. Now we're going to make our image larger or scale it upwards to as far as you like it to go. Highlight both keyframes and click F9 on your keyboard. Then we're going to go over back to our graph editor. And since this is an ending transition, we're going to move our graph towards the left. A little tip is that every end to transition, the graph will always be towards the left. And finally, once we exit our graph, our transition should be complete. To sum everything up today, I brought you through how to make a zoom out transition by going step by step through the process today, while also talking about how I got familiar with the program myself. Learning is a process, and at first things simply seem impossible to learn. However, when you allow yourself to make mistakes and grow, it becomes that much easier. Thank you for your time today.